Hi, I'm Amanda McDermott, and I'm here talking about my experience and trip to Thailand for International Month for Thomas Nelson. Hi, I'm Amanda McDermott. I am a previous Thomas Nelson student. I am now a photographer for Thomas Nelson. I do a lot of events and headshots and all different types of things. Today I'm here talking about International Day or International Month. I do a lot of traveling, and I traveled to Thailand last December, and I'm talking about that today, talking about my experience. I went with a bunch of friends. We had a lot of fun. It was kind of an inspirational trip, and we were able to immerse ourselves in the culture. And we traveled all around Thailand, so that was really cool. We went, first we flew right into Bangkok, and we stayed there for a day and a half. We went everywhere in Bangkok. We took tuk-tuks everywhere, which were really cool. Very cool means of transportation. And one of the best things about Thailand was their food. It was amazing, very fresh, no preservatives, that kind of thing. But we were able to really, work with people within Thailand, and not really work with them, but immerse ourselves, like I said, into the culture. So we were seeing different temples. We were traveling, like I said, all around the country. So from Bangkok, we went to different markets and different things like that in Bangkok and dilly-dallied around the city. And then from there, we went to Chiang Mai, which is north. In the mountains of Thailand. So that was really cool. We got to play with some elephants, which was like one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I cried on an elephant. I laid on top of the elephant and cried. It was really amazing. They're so smart and have so much personality, and literally one of my favorite animals ever. It's nothing like seeing them in a zoo, you know? It's just incredible. And so we got to feed them and hang out with them. But yeah, we had a big group of people, so that made it more fun because everybody had kind of their own experiences and came together. So it was pretty awesome. But we also went to some night markets in Chiang Mai, which was a lot of fun also. We saw lots of really cool art. Like I said, the temples were amazing. It's so cool. I went for a run at before the sun came up at 5 a.m. and I saw monks, walking in their orange robes, and it was just the coolest thing ever. The Buddhist religion is amazing, and I'm pretty obsessed with it now. But I'm not Buddhist. I just take, a lot of the values and appreciate those values of their religion. And but it was neat to see them in their temple and worshiping and working with each other. And they're all so friendly and kind and genuine, and it's just awesome. And you could literally go to Thailand for $10 a day. I mean, it's so cheap. You can get fresh fruits and vegetables. It's just awesome. So from there, we went to Phuket, which is the islands area. So it's South Thailand. And that was a lot of fun too. We went out to the beaches, and I surfed in the Indian Ocean. That was awesome. And then we went out, we had some nightlife. That was pretty wild. There's lots of interesting culture on Patong Street in Phuket. I rode a motorbike, like a mini motorbike, out all around the island, so that was really, really cool. But part of this trip was, just for fun, but the other part was, like I said, kind of inspirational for myself. I'm a photographer, and I wanted to see the country and capture the country. And so I brought some canvases of some of the stuff that I took. I took over 900 pictures, so there's not 900 canvases, but I've got a few back there that you could check out. And it was, like I said, it was a lot of fun. We had about 13 of us, and we had different houses. It's actually really inexpensive, pretty affordable. It's kind of intimidating because you're flying, literally, it took us all day to get over there. But once you get over there, you can kind of navigate everything pretty easily. and still be in communication with the outside world. I mean, as long as you have a cell phone these days, it's pretty easy to do. But yeah, so from Phuket, we went back to Bangkok. We did some more shopping and eating, which was awesome. There's lots of fresh produce and street meat. I didn't really do the street meat thing. I did have some authentic Thai. That is one thing I did do because Thai food's like my favorite. So, but lots of mangoes and carrots, and it was amazing. It's definitely not the same having a mango carrot smoothie here in the US, or Thai food in the US. You can't really duplicate that. So, but yeah, it was an enlightening, can't say that word, experience. We actually got tattoos there, so that was kind of cool too. Actually, it was kind of sketchy, but it was cool. It was cool. We didn't get like the needle with the ink. We actually got, we saw the needle come out of the bag and stuff, so everything is kosher. But it was really neat. And my tattoo is a unilome, which is pretty cool, and that actually stands for enlightenment. So they have like, different symbolization in their culture and religion, and now I'm basically just collecting all of those things on my body as far as tattoos are concerned. But yeah, so it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Would you do it again?
What? Oh yeah, yes, absolutely. I'm dying to go back. I have some friends over there now because I collect people everywhere I go. And so I keep in touch with them, and they're like, when are you coming back? And I'm, okay, I'm gonna come back in a few years. I gotta go a few other places first. So next is Trinidad and Tobago, tomorrow, actually. And then hopefully Brazil sometime soon. And just everywhere, I wanna see everything. I wanna see the whole world. I wanna show my daughter the world, so that'll be cool. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Crump. Today I'm going to be speaking about becoming an American from the Philippines. Hi, I'm Marilyn Crump, and I currently live in Yorktown, Virginia. I own a couple of different businesses, but all being under the umbrella Art Inspired. So I am a mentor, I am a business coach, I do photography like Amanda, and I also teach dance and among other things. So I like being very adventurous, and I love experiencing new things, and I think that comes from the fact that early on in my life, I had to be thrown into that situation. So I was born in the Philippines, and we lived there until I was about 7, and there are a lot of really big differences. I mean, I haven't been there since I was really young, but kind of growing up, you relate to the world because of the things that you've gone through. And I just remember being very young, and our living situation is different than what we eventually discovered in the United States. So back there, when we were living there, we had straw mats for our beds, and I don't know if you experienced that when you were traveling, but it was fun. You'd have your own, it's like a yoga mat, so you would roll it out when you go to bed, you sleep on your straw mat, and then you roll it back, and you made your bed. So it was pretty easy, actually. So I remember the first time we got a mattress, I was like, what in the world is this thing? And so I'll tell you how old I am. I just turned 40, well, last October, so I'm about to be 41, and probably look, so when you're Filipino, you'll look young for a really long time, and then one day you just wake up, you look like a raisin. I don't know what happens to that. There's some kind of weird metabolism thing that happens to Filipinos. We suck up life and look young forever, and then we just wake up right? So one day. So I remember when we moved to the States, it was a long process. So I grew up not really seeing my dad because he had joined the U.S. military when we were 2. He's also Filipino, but back then they had an agreement where if anybody wanted to join the military, they could, and they would be citizens, but because we were already born, we didn't have that option, so we had to go through a long route to get our citizenship. So anyhow, I also remember that when we flew to the States, for some reason we got first class, and I just thought that that's how it was, right? So every other flight since then has been very disappointing because they don't serve you like cocktail shrimp. So, but we get to my dad's apartment in Texas, and he had a waterbed. Crazy stuff, and I was like, America's amazing. You get like shrimp on the plane, and then you get water beds. It's amazing. So then I just remember there was so many different things to learn, right? So if you were ever born somewhere else, when your brain is used to a certain language, you actually dream in that language. So I remember like the first time when I was really learning English that I dreamt of myself speaking English was really crazy. And then you had to switch your brain, like when people are saying certain things, you have to kind of switch into that thought. So I've been here now since I was 7. So my brain is completely like English now. And so I can understand Filipino pretty well. There's some things that, like maybe if someone's talking too fast that I have to ask them to slow down. But my brain can accept it, but I have to translate it in my head, right, to English because my brain now thinks in English. So that was wild because I remember thinking in Filipino when I was about 6 or 7, going, English is so hard. I don't get it. I'll never learn it. But then you learn it because there's cartoons. Okay, so so if you're a little kid, you got to learn a language. Make sure it's to cartoons. But another funny thing is when you're from a different culture, there's certain things like sarcasm that you've never heard before. So it still surprises me when someone is speaking to me sarcastically because I'm taking you, seriously. So I'm like, really? They're like, no, I'm being sarcastic. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. So it's actually nice if you're in a culture where people aren't sarcastic, right? So that's a little bit refreshing because when you're surrounded by other people who maybe that's their form of fun, it gets really confusing. Like, find the sarcasm. All right, so food. We Filipinos love to cook a lot. So I don't care if you're in the Philippines or you're in the States. If you're near like a Filipino family, they will feed you. So growing up, my parents always wanted to feed my friends. But they didn't mind, of course. So they're like, yeah, can I come over? And then I would be suspicious saying, are you coming over because you're my friend? Or because you know my mom's gonna feed you lumpia, right? So, but it's really rough if you're trying to lose weight, okay? Because the rice, man, I mean, that's like a lot of, carbs. And if you turn down rice, especially if you are Filipino, you're not looked at right. So I have to like pretend I'm eating a lot of rice, like put it on top of a lot of vegetables so it looks like there's a lot of rice on there. So I love the differences, and I feel like too, partly that makes me a better everything. Does that make sense? Because I'm not in one culture. Like I find myself being in both, and that gives me a different perspective, and so I can think my way differently out of different circumstances and figure out things creatively because I get to pull from so many different types of perspectives. And as a mentor and a coach, that's really important because then you can really tell people not everybody thinks like this, right? Like I have people who want to get into a field where they're telling people about health and then also exploring other types of modalities to that, like energy healing, like people who want to get into that kind of space in their career. And they'll tell me, but people are going to think I'm weird. And I go, you know what? That's only because you grew up here, okay? If you were to speak to somebody who's traveled everywhere or maybe born somewhere else, that was a part of our life. Like you would see the doctor after you saw your spiritual leader, right? Like somebody had to like dip your feet into a big bowl of water and pour melted wax and try to read it for you and then say, yeah, go to the doctor. But it wasn't weird. It was like just part of it. So you would say, how am I relating to the land and the weather and my religious life and my medical life? Like all that was like wrapped into one kind of really cool ball. So you could be very Catholic and then still kind of say, I think that there's other spiritualities out there that I can connect to. So that's really refreshing. So in a way, you kind of see that there's different things that you can achieve in this world that's not necessarily tied to where you're from, okay, and then maybe your background or even how your family is structured. So I think too, like my parents don't get half the things that I do because it's not very entrepreneurial where they grew up. And so being a business owner, it's a whole lot different than, of course, working for someone. And I'm sure some of y'all have experienced this since my dad's military. You know, he's used to certain people telling him what to do. And as a business owner, I tell myself what to do. Okay, so I'm my own boss, and I love that. So I always tell people, if you get any chance in life to become an entrepreneur, do it. Because too, I think that you also figure out a lot more how you're connected to the infrastructure of where you live as well. So when you're like relating to the community and providing services and things like that, it really helps that you know, you're part of the structure. People come to you and find the services that they need, and then you can offer that. And then two, if they're maybe from somewhere else, you can say, you know, I can relate to you, this is how I can help you through this process. So that's my journey, and I love sharing that. And I just feel like if you get a chance to travel, definitely do it. There's a big world out there, and also there's a beautiful planet out there. And I think sometimes we get so stuck in our society where we can like just produce what we want, we can buy what we want when we want, and so we don't really treasure the things that we use. And I find myself being very environmental as far as my point of view, because I know that there's some cultures out there who's really kind of being affected by our wastefulness, right? So part of the things that you don't see when you travel to really nice places is how some of the poorer areas are having to deal with like waste and plastics and things like that. So kind of like keep the beautiful picture in your head, but also say, I'm responsible for somebody on the other part of the world. Like my choices here affect them too. So then you can kind of say, how am I contributing to that? What can I do? Even the littlest changes are a big deal. And I think we as younger people, we're more aware that that stuff is happening, so we can make those choices really matter, right? So that's my thing. And thanks for listening to me today and keep in contact with me. My website is artinspired.com, so pretty easy to remember. And there's ways to contact me through there. So hope to hear from you guys.